And we are live. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the WagerWise MMA podcast, brought to you by myself and Ryan. Ryan, how you going?
I'm great, brother. How are you?
Yes, doing good. You're off the night shift. I'm sure you're feeling fresh as a daisy.
You know it, man.
Love that. All right, we have a pretty good card to talk about this week. UFC goes to Seattle for Adesanya and Joe Pyfer, the headlining fight for the week. Before we touch on that card, bottom to top, as always, give you our best bets and predictions. We should talk about UFC London last week very, very quickly. Ryan, what do you think of the card? How'd you do?
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty decent card. Only won 0.5 units. Had some good bets with El Sawadi. I'm ha- I'm so
Yeah,
I'm so bummed that I didn't wait until the day before to put a lot of money on El Sawadi. I don't know what people saw in Old Mate at
shit
all.
rock.
He was terrible. All that talking for nothing, like you said.
Yeah,
Um, Yeah, Mario Pinto with a shithouse performance. That's going to be a future fade. Brando Perisic, he had a great fight. Um, actually played the overs in that fight, which like I regretted in the first 10 seconds. For some reason, I thought this was going to be like a
we
conservative fight.
we finally get one back.
Yep. um, the Axel Solar fight, like crazy good fight. I don't even like regret putting my money on him. CLD once again a letdown. Yeah, he won the fight, but he could have pushed for a finish there. Mantis somehow going the distance with
Crazy work.
Old Mate.
That's
That's
it. Crazy work.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people lost money on that round one and unders there. Luke Riley did what he had to do. I thought Michael Aswell fought all right. He just had no pop in his shots. Won the fight, goes the distance there. And the main event, I thought, I don't know. I thought Lerryan kind of won. I'm not sure if it's because I had money on him, but I thought he won maybe the first three rounds. But I'm not. I'm not completely. I'm not angry at the result. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, I thought the main event was just weird.
weird
Just
fight,
weird
right?
all over. Really weird. And another weird, like, full card overall, to be honest with you.
Mm.
Um, I don't know what's going on with the events at the moment. It's not they're not it's not like they're bad events. They're just something's off about them. Something's off about the UFC events at the moment. They're just not quite what they were last year. I know the finish rate's down overall. I think the finish rate's about 30%. No, it's usually touch high. Maybe it's that, but I don't know. I just thought the main event was just a strange one. Evloev like barely wrestled. I don't know if he got told, to get the next title shot, you have to show us something more. I don't know. You don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but
Mm.
nevertheless, it was kind of just it was just a weird old fight. I still think, yeah, I don't know. I think Movzar won and probably should have won, but yeah, got to feel bad for Lerone. Luke Riley, pretty dominant, all things considered. Like everyone loved as well last week, but I didn't really see a lot of it. MVP, another boring stinker.
Oh, fuck that.
Danny Silva, probably the best bet of the card, to be honest with you.
Mm.
Plus 200, upwards of that, and gets a finish win. So pretty impressive there. I don't know about you. I was disappointed with Lucidi Keita.
Yeah, I've seen much better showings, but that's what Nathaniel Wood does. He can really
Yeah,
make him fight his type of fight, and he is so defensively sound. Like he has his hands exactly where it needs to be, and he's like active enough, but not overexerting himself.
yeah. I don't know how you're getting dropped by worse strikers. And Keita like barely even touched him. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty weird outcome overall. Like I thought there's a little to no chance Wood got through that fight without at least getting hurt once. So pretty strange. And then Shamrock getting destroyed is always good to see. And Chanel Dye with the finish, which I thought she probably should have given the price. So yeah, not an awful card, but and again another weird one. I'm hoping the finishes lift on this card and we get some more full on action.
Hoping
Uh,
so.
Producer Lincoln in the chat saying wee. That is great contribution as always, my friend. Thank you. But we're going to break this card down bottom to top, give you our full fight by fight analysis and any bets we have riding on this one. So let's kick it off from the first fight of the evening. We have women's strawweight. Hang on a sec. Does that look all right on your screen?
Yeah, looks perfect.
Okay. Alexa Tainara taking on Bruna Brazil. Prices on this one I know are pretty damn wide. Alexa Tainara minus 800 coming into this one. To come back on Bruna Brazil's plus 550. I'll kick us off here. Look, this is a wide price. This is a super wide price. Alexia Tainara minus 800 is pretty crazy given we've only seen her twice in the UFC and she does look like kind of limited, but I think in terms of where she's going to really thrive is like the physicality. She's a super physical girl. She'll come in here, she'll be aggressive, she'll push forward, she'll strike, and she leaves holes in the striking. She leaves openings to be countered for sure. Maybe Bruna Brazil's that girl, but I tend to think no, she's not like a huge power puncher. She's long and she has a long reach and a long frame, but I don't think she's like an amazing striker. She'd probably just be more intent to pot shot her off the back foot. And I think Tainara pushes forward. She might look to get in close, wrestle, get her hands on her. If she does that, she's even more live to win this fight. So, yeah, I think minus 800 is a pretty wide price tag, but I think she wins. I don't know about a finish. Like, I think she could get a finish in this one. Bruna Brazil's looked a little bit shaky and has been finished a couple of times. So maybe there's potential for that angle, but the prices overall are like just pretty hard to get around unless you see a violence angle in this fight. I think unless you think Tainara wins ITD, which is plus 160, there's probably not a whole way of range of ways to play this fight, in my opinion. What do you think?
It's a crazy pricing as like this is a rematch from a fight that Bruno Brazil won like years ago, but that was Tainara's second pro fight and that was Brazil's sixth fight. Just watching it back the other day, that was a complete mismatch. Like Bruno was a somewhat put together fighter back then, while Tainara was not at all. Um, I think now, like today, I think Tainara can like roll through her here in the rematch, whether it's on the feet or if she goes for takedowns. I think it all comes down to Brazil is just the complete opposite of Tainara. Brazil is low volume, fights with like almost zero aggression. She gets hit a lot and has no pop or explosiveness, and she's starting to look pretty shaky like nowadays. Like Brazil has been knocked out 3 times, and I think there is a good chance she can get finished here or not, or if like she doesn't, she will get hurt at least and end up having to survive. I'm not sure I'm comfortable like putting money on a women's finish, but
Yeah.
yeah, I
It
just
worked last week.
yeah, it would have worked. Yeah, I think there's just too much firepower here, like athleticism and volume on the side of Thainara, and I just don't see someone as unbearably hesitant as Brazil having too much success here. So, I'm going to pick Thainara here. As for the minus 800, I'll be honest, I played her at minus 600 like last week, it just as a parlay piece, but yeah, minus 800 is getting a bit, how you going. So,
You think she finishes?
see, that's where I don't know. I think there's potential for her to finish, and like Brazil does get hurt. Like I don't like the look of her like covering up against Caitlin Souza,
Mm.
like looking like she's like wanting to get out of the fight. But there's a chance that like she's covering up, and then Thainara can like maybe snatch the neck or something. Like she does have like a lot of subs on her record. She has no KOs, so that KO line must be pretty juiced. But
Tainara's?
yeah,
Yeah, you can get it for like plus 900 upwards.
yeah, plus 900. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna just remain as a parlay piece, but
Yeah.
yeah, no more action on this fight, to be honest.
Yeah, you can get a, like I said, you get a take TKO like plus 900 areas. You can get a submission plus 240, somewhere around there. So it's not a bad way to turn a minus 800 favorite into some plus money. But yeah, I think you're going to have to get lucky on one of those props. There's not really a standout angle there. Someone's Mad Muddigan said, order of confidence, Hooper, Bahamondes, Douglas.
The three guys that like I'm not sure what
Um,
there's too much confidence in.
Probably, maybe Bahamondes 1, Douglas 2, Hooper. No, I don't know.
I really don't
Hooper
know.
1?
He's not even one for me.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably I would think Douglas maybe. But we'll get into these fights properly.
Yeah,
Very very shortly. I mean, off the top of my head, I'd probably say Bahamondes, Douglas, Hooper maybe, but not. Yeah, it's a tough one.
there's clear ways for them to lose. That's the thing.
Yeah, all of them. I agree.
All of them, yeah.
All right, we'll keep moving up this card. We have, and I'm sure this is not going to be this low on the card, but well, I'd hope this isn't this low on the card. But men's bantamweight, Ricky Simon taking on Adrian Yanez or Yanez, whatever you want to call him. Prices, we got Simone, moderate favorite, minus 150. The comeback on Yanez, plus 130. Ryan, who wins this one?
Yeah, this is two guys that are like I feel like they've kind of reached their potential in the fight game. Simone, he's 2-4 in his last six, coming off a unanimous decision loss to Barcelos. Adrian Yanez, 6-3 in the UFC. He's 1-3 in his last four, coming off a split decision loss to Daniel Marcos a few years ago. And we have opposing styles here. Like Ricky Simone is primarily a wrestler, looks to take it down, damage from mount, and top control his way to a decision. But he's pretty much got the typical wrestling striking. Like he has an overhand right, nothing technical or slick, but like he does have plenty of knockout power. On the other side of that, Adrian Yanez, he's just a pure boxer. Marches forward, tries to catch kicks, time his opponent's strikes to slip and rip, roll under strikes and launch huge overhands and hooks. He stands pretty heavy on his lead foot, which leaves him open to leg kicks, which was exploited by guys like David Martinez and Davy Grant. Yanez is also like defensively exploitable, struggles defending straight shots down the pipe. As for Simone, I feel like with his style, he doesn't really have a plan B. Just kind of loads up on his shots coming forward and looks to get takedowns. He's got pretty poor defense. So does Yanez. Simone falls apart as fights get extended and opponents adjust. While Yanez, I think his defense overall is not that great, but like he does get more aggressive as fights goes. And if you look at Yanez's takedown defense, it may say 81% on it, but it's still pretty unproven. The only person that's really tested it is Dan Marcos. But in saying that, I think I like Yanez here at plus 125. Like Simone obviously will have that wrestling upside, and Yanez's takedown defense, obviously a worry. Only fighter that has tested it is Dan Marcos. Like he defended 2 takedowns and got taken down twice in that fight, so hard to take too much from that. I do feel like Ricky will need to time a takedown under Yanez's overextended strikes, but if he shoots from far away, I think Yanez will be quick to it. I think he's the more quicker fighter. As for striking, Simone is willing to stand and bang, and though Yanez can be chinny, Simone is chinny too. Like he's too easily hit in the boxing range and will be at a speed disadvantage in the pocket. I think Simone will struggle with Yanez's pull counters, slip and rips, and counter rights over the top of straight shots. Like Simone is single shot orientated, like he has a measuring jab, a loopy straight right, and wide hooks in the pocket. I think Yanez catches him often enough and is able to hurt him when he extends his combos. I think Yanez's pull back right will be money as Simone lunges in, that pull back right and then left hook that follows. And even when Yanez closes the distance and swings his shot wildly, Ricky doesn't carry his hands high. And as fights gets extended, he gets more and more lazy with his defense. Yanez too tends to fall apart defensively. His fights go on too, but he has shown to get more aggressive, or at the very least maintain the intensity in his attacks. Meanwhile, I feel Simone is very solid early, and while he doesn't death gas or fade, he definitely loses composure, gets overzealous, and is too willing to eat punches just to get in. He might also start shooting desperation takedowns or going for broke and um, trying to land a knockout shot. So yeah, it's a close fight, closely lined. I like Yanez here. I played him at plus 125 for 1.25 units.
Yeah, nice breakdown. I came in to this one wanting to bet Yanez, but I can't get there, man. I agree with most of the things you said. I think this one's an interesting fight. I think it's pretty close, to be honest. Like, I've never really been a huge Yanez believer. Like, if I'm honest, I remember people talking about him years ago, going, "Oh, this guy's gonna, go to the highest depths of the division,
Yeah.
because he had nice boxing." And I don't know, I just never really believed it. Like, literally, as soon as I saw Randy Costa like almost finish him in round one with a jab, and Randy Costa was like one of the worst, not a great fighter in the UFC. I always just was a little bit worried, and then that sort of seemed to develop and got proven true. So, I'm not a huge believer in this guy, but he is probably getting Ricky at a very good time. Like, Ricky's on a decline athletically. He's getting older. His chin is a little bit dusty for sure. But like, regardless of that, I still think Ricky's wrestling is solid enough to take Yanez down several times in this fight. To be honest with you, like Yanez has never really fought a genuine pure wrestler. The last time he did was Miles Johns on LFA, which was like years and years ago. And Miles Johns had a fair amount of success taking that fight to the ground. And if you judge Yanez's takedown defense level off years ago, like you would go, oh, that's pretty impressive, and he's probably improved it since then. But if you go and watch that Daniel Marcos fight, like while Marcos was, I would say, pretty dead tired in round 3, and Yanez was probably the fresher guy there. Marcos really had no issues kind of getting that fight down to the ground a couple of times, and he's a kickboxer, so I tend to think his takedown defense level hasn't really improved. I think it's probably the same level, and if it is, I genuinely think Ricky will get this down to the mat a few times. Like he shoots pretty intelligently. He's strong. He's physical. He's fast. He gets to the hips really well. He's particularly good on the single, which I think he'll look for here. I think he'll shoot on the single, head outside, avoid the knees, and I think he will probably get this fight to the ground. But it's also fair to say that I think Yanez should definitely have a striking advantage in this one of pure speed. And as I said, Ricky can be hit and hurt, so it's definitely a worry. It's definitely a worry for me there, but I don't know. Ricky has shown like some weird power in his hands in his last few fights, which is something he's kind of never. I don't think he's been known as like this powerful boxer, but the way he knocked out Javid Basharat, far out, man. Like I never saw that coming. I never thought I'd see Ricky Simone knock someone like flat out cold. So, I think Ricky's having some weird, outcomes and stuff like that. So this is going to be interesting. I think he maybe could touch Yanez at times if this is his striking match, but. I think it's hard to argue that these, if this is a striking match, I think it's hard to argue that these prices aren't wrong. But I think the issue is I don't think it's a striking match, to be honest. I think Ricky's going to wrestle. I think Ricky's going to wrestle pretty hard. Ricky's at home, obviously in Seattle for this one. And I think he's going to be pretty comfortable getting the win. So I think he's going to look to get the fight to the ground. I think he will. For the time he spends on the feet, yeah, it'll be uncomfortable and he could get hurt. But I tend to think he just does more and outperforms. So I get the favourite price tag here, but I'm not rushed to play it personally.
Yeah, nice.
All right, up the card to Navajo Sterling taking on Bruno Lopes. The prices, we have Navajo Sterling doing Navajo Sterling stuff minus 650. The comeback on Bruno Lopes plus 475. I just don't care about this fight. I really don't. Like, how many times can Navajo Sterling let me down with finishes? I think physically he looks the best he's ever looked, and I think he will come in here physically looking for sure the best he's ever looked. I think he's put on a ton of muscle. Or maybe he's on the gear, or probably a bit of both, which is I'm fine with. But I just don't see how to play this fight unless you fancy this goes long. I think you can get some cool Navajo TKO props and stuff like that, but I've been burnt on him before, and I'm really not rushing to back this guy again to finish. Like, is he a good striker? Yeah, he's a pretty good striker. He's not an amazing striker, but he's a pretty good striker. He's got good power in the hands. Lopez is a super hittable guy, but Lopez has upset me before. I was pretty big on Gagiasulov a couple of fights back, and I thought he would, touch him up on the feet on the outside, take him down, have his way with him, and Lopez turned it into a 15-minute grueling clinch match against the fence, which I think is an angle here that he could do. If he avoids a takedown, if he avoids a big KO shot, I think there's a world in which he definitely makes this an ugly, grueling, grinding fight. But if he doesn't, Navajo Sterling should style. But again, Navajo Sterling just hasn't had that breakout, knockout performance yet that I've been waiting to see that we saw in Contender Series. So unless you think this one goes long, I think this is an unplayable fight. Navajo Sterling should win. Hopefully he gets a KO for his career, but I've got no interest betting this fight overall.
Yeah, nice. I can't go past Navajo Sterling here. I don't love the price tag on him now. Personally, I did parlay him last week at minus 520, but now he's going up to minus 700, you said.
Yeah, 657.
Yeah, I don't love it, but he should win. He's just frustrating to have money on props for. He hasn't finished any of his fights in the UFC, only got a knockout in Contender Series that got him a contract. But he has been close. He could have easily finished his last two opponents in Erosa and Bellato, but he just let them off the hook. I was watching on his YouTube channel for his preparation that he said he did recognize he needs to get finishes, and he knows that fans and UFC are waiting for his breakout performance. and he feels like he's been let down by his stamina and conditioning. So he's made changes in his camp in terms of strength and conditioning, which have made him, which have made big changes in sparring. So to me, those are good things to hear. But to be honest, man, if I'm gonna bet Navajo Sterling to get a knockout, he's probably gonna get 3 knockdowns and then somehow like the
Yep.
fight will go to distance. Or if I bet on him to win by points, he's gonna get a knockout in the first like 2 minutes.
Yep.
But like Bruno Lopez he's a pretty basic fighter. Like he has okay boxing, nothing that will trouble Navajo, and we've seen Navajo deal with the same type of grappling pressure that Lopez can bring, and he passed with flying colors. And Lopez is like so much slower too. I just think Sterling wins handily here, and it'll be a matter of him showing the adjustments to earn his first UFC finish if he gets there. Honestly, he might not even have to hunt for the finish. Like he might have to just land cleanly. Like Lopez has been knocked out twice, once by Bredesen Ribeiro in his contender series outing, and in his last fight against Dustin Jacoby. He was even dropped by a Jacoby jab in that fight.
Hmm.
So he very clearly has a chin issue, and I think he can be a good opponent to catapult Navajo should he chase the knockout. But until I see Navajo like wanting like go in there like looking for that knockout, I'm just gonna keep him as a parlay piece in this one.
Yeah, probably smart angle. It's if he gets a finish, cool, prove it to me. But I'm not wasting money on backing this guy for another finish when he keeps letting me down. So I think that's a very mature angle from you and I. Look at us growing up in the world. Isn't it nice?
Oh yeah,
All right, up to women's flyweight. We've got the, what does she call herself? The Scozzy or some shit? The Scottish Aussie.
King.
The Scottish Aussie, Casey O'Neill. Taking on Gabby Fernandez. Prices have moved up and down all week for this one. I think Gabby Fernandez, open favorite, like looks like she opened 170, but hung around that minus 130 mark. Casey O'Neill opened 145, but was hanging around that plus 110. But then she flipped to favorite. She got to about as high as minus 130, it looks like, and then she went back to plus money, and now she's back to even. So it is now minus 110 each side. A lot of money coming in on both sides, and I kind of get why. How do you feel about this one?
Yeah, I posted my play for this early in the week. I got Gabriela Fernandez at plus 100. I've been keeping an eye on the odds and kind of been looking at people's breakdowns for the fight, and it's all like I see why. Like it's going back and forth. Fernandez, she's a former LFA champ on a 3-fight win streak. She's mainly a kickboxer out of a southpaw stance, stays bouncy on her feet, dynamic with her kicks and from distance. And she's got pretty fluid boxing combos in her pocket, like always punches and bunches, and carries some solid pop in her shots. She has struggled with grappling in the past, like specifically in her first 2 fights. Like Jasmine Jasudavicius took her down 4 times, controlled her for 11 minutes, and Teresa Blader 3 takedowns in that fight, and controlled her for 10 minutes as well. She has shown improvements in her defensive grappling, but that's still yet to be proven against someone like physical to the extent of Jasmine Jasovicius and Teresa Blader. Like Fernandez is very physical and strong in there, like as it is. She's a big, like one of the bigger girls in the division. Casey O'Neill, she's 1-2 in her last 3, only fought 3 times since 2023. She's a gritty fighter with aggressive striking and grappling pressure. Marches forward, looks to land like hard leg kicks and 1-2s down the pipe to pop opponent's head back. She swings heavy hooks once she's in the pocket. The thing is, she's easily countered, can walk straight into shots as she pressures, and she's there to be hit at the end of exchanges. She also doesn't have the best takedowns, like she mostly telegraphs her shots, but once she is on top, however, she is very effective with her ground and pound, has good downward pressure. I think Fernandez overall is the better fighter, and she's been more active the last few years, facing good competition. Like the Carly Judice and Kong Wang wins are aging amazingly. Say what you will about, like, I think she lost that Judice fight, but it was in like very slight small margins, and the Kong Wang fight she did drop her and landed a really nice head kick before she got that sub. And her recent fight against Stolyarenko shows some improvements in her defensive grappling. I didn't like how she looked towards the end of that fight, but it just showed that she can follow a game plan. O'Neill had a very good showing against Luana Santos 2 years ago, outclassing her, but I find with Casey O'Neill that she's able to outstrike grapplers with shit striking, and she's able to outgrapple strikers with no takedown defense and get up game. I feel like against well-rounded girls, she like struggles and often has to rally back. Even in like fights that she's won, she's had to rally back. In this fight, when they're striking, I think O'Neill is going to struggle with Fernandez's kickboxing from that southpaw stance. Like O'Neill is very forward pressure heavy, but at her expense of always being on the front foot, she easily walks straight onto shots. So she keeps her head like right in the center, and she's always entering range with that same jab cross, which makes her like pretty predictable and counterable. Fernandez from that southpaw stance will threaten her with those huge body and head kicks from range. She'll be able to catch her with straight lefts in the pocket. I see Fernandez punches like landing cleaner and with more power, and as she extends her combos, I see O'Neill just eating hooks at the end of Fernandez's combinations. As for grappling, O'Neill, in my opinion, will be at a physicality and strength disadvantage. Like she's not the most physical girl, but if she gets to the ground, then there could be trouble. But for the most part, I think Fernandez should be able to negate most of her attempts, at least early, and potentially even get a takedown of her own. Things to worry about O'Neill is that like why the long layoff. I'm pretty sure she's like gotten injured a few times. I think
Yeah.
as recent as maybe like less than 6 months ago, like she had like some sort of injury. Um, so those are like big questions. Why I will favor like in a closely lined fight, the more active fighter, the more physical girl, and yeah, I'm glad to take Fernandez at plus money, but yeah, it's going to be a close fight nonetheless. I see Fernandez taking round one at a high clip, and I see Casey O'Neill rallying back in the third round at a high clip, and second round I think Fernandez will be good enough to like keep the momentum going.
Yeah, great breakdown. I agree with pretty much everything you said. I think Casey O'Neill generally relies on, like you said, a physicality advantage or being the more physical girl. And I'm not really sure she is in this one. I think Gabby can probably compete everywhere. The time off is an awkward one. I think when you go back and you look at her career, like this is Casey O'Neill, she kind of came in and got, I would say a bunch of handouts. Like Shana Dobson, probably one of the worst women's fighters we've ever seen, got besides that upset that she got at huge odds. I think she was like plus 1,400 or something ridiculous. But she was terrible. Lara Fritzen, I don't even fucking remember who that is. Lara Procopio. Yeah, that rings more of a bell. And Antonina Shevchenko, I mean, the book was out on her. Take her down, you're going to have some success. So, and then a split decision to Roxanne Metaferi. Like, she kind of came in and got a couple of handouts from the UFC, and then they went, all right, time to prove yourself against a good girl in Jennifer Maia. Lost. I remember fading her in that one, being very comfortable with an underdog fade on Gabriella and getting plus money on Jennifer Maia, sorry. And then on to Ariana Lipski. I didn't play her in that one. I'm pretty sure you played her by finish, if I remember right.
Oh, I played Lipski.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You played Lipski by finish. And so I think when she gets these steps up in competition, she does seem to fall down. And in terms of Luana Santos' fight, like, again, she was the more gritty, like, physical girl there. So she was always going to have some sort of advantage. And now coming off the time off, it's not an interesting prospect for me. I think Fernandez is going to be physical enough. She should be the better striker, and she should be able to negate most of the wrestling. I think if Casey gets her to the ground on her back, she probably will have some success and hold it down for some time, but I don't think she could do it for 15 minutes. So, yeah, if it was a gun to my head, I'd say Gabby Fernandez would be my option. But to be honest, it does feel like a pretty 50-50 fight, maybe like 55-45 Gabby Fernandez, something like that. I think it's pretty close. So, line feels pretty accurate and makes sense with how much flip-flopping is going on. So, I get it. I get it on all fronts. All right, let's keep it moving up the card to men's heavyweight. We've got Marcin Tybura taking on Tyrell Fortune. Tyrell Fortune making his UFC debut, ex-Bellator guy. Marcin Tybura on a bit of a downtrend. Prices, we got Fortune minus 138. The comeback on Marcin Tybura plus 115, plus 120, somewhere in that area. This is a weird fight, I would say. You've got Tyrell Fortune, who wouldn't have said, coming into this fight, I wouldn't have thought, oh yeah, this guy's going to be a mainstay in the UFC, but I guess he's fine, like skills wise for heavyweight. Like he can box, he can wrestle. I wouldn't say he has huge power or like amazing wrestling or anything. I just don't. I think he's like okay everywhere. He's not super dangerous in the submission realm. But yeah, he's just an okay kind of guy. He really is like a Bellator type fighter to me. It makes sense. I mean, if you gave me Marcin Tybura like 3 years ago, I would play him at underdog money like so easily here, to be honest with you. So easily. But he's just getting hit and hurt with everything at the moment. Look, if he gets his fight to the ground like early or at any point and gets on top, I think he's a huge chance to finish. He's that type of fighter. He could really finish anyone if he gets on top and has some success. But at age 40 and, off some finishes and getting hurt more and more, it's just not an interesting prospect to me, to be honest. So, like, while I think Tybura is probably, like, the better fighter overall in terms of, like, career trajectories, like, do I think Tyrell Fortune will ever have as much success as Tybura has had in the UFC? Probably not. Probably not. But Tybura is 40 and he's taking damage. So, yeah, I'm not rushing to play Tybura, and I'm not rushing to play Tyrell Fortune. This is a pretty good prove-it spot to me. I want to see what Tyrell Fortune looks like in there against a guy who's had a decent amount of success in the UFC, and he can prove it. I think the price tags make a bit of sense, but yeah, I don't really have a strong read on this fight. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I don't have a strong read on this fight either. Like Marcin Tybura, he's technically not that great at all. Like he kind of just plods forward with poor defense. His goal is to just close the distance, clinch up, and control opponents against the fence, and then force the fight to the ground. But when he does get you on the ground, he's got that suffocating top control and like really good finishing ability. He is also like known to be tough and durable, but like that durability is kind of going down as well. Tyrell Fortune, this guy is like a very explosive guy from all fronts, from like his takedowns to his striking. He comes forward looking to land that big shot to the chin, and he will switch it up between like shooting single legs or double legs, or trying to just straight up knock your head off your body. He's a Bellator veteran, fought most of his career there until PFL merge, and has now since been back in the regionals. He's had 3 fights in 5 months in 2025, all those wins via TKO, but as you can imagine, the level of competition was horrible. I'm pretty sure, if it's not him, it might be someone else on the card, but one of his last few opponents was like a 52-year-old. I might have to fact check that, but yeah, I think Fortune should get it done, but I've lost too much money fading Tybura, so this is a straight up pass. If we're talking about growing up, I can't get my back on Marcin Tybura.
We are feeling awfully mature right now on this show. What's going on?
Yeah, but if Tybura can avoid getting bonked here early and drag this deep, we could be bound for a classic Tybura performance. Fortune, one of those powerhouse heavyweights who can get quick finishes, but his overall level of competition sucks. This could be like another Jonata Diniz kind of situation in this fight. If he imagine if he finds himself having overexerted himself in round 2 and Tybura is still walking him down, I think he can absolutely drown under Tybura's pressure. So the pick is Fortune, but I'm not putting my money on this fight.
I love that. I think if you're brave and you think this one goes long, you can get some good angles on it, like over 2.5 plus 165.
I was thinking about it, but
fight goes a distance plus 220. Like I don't know. When I looked at those prices, I'm like, I reckon Ryan's gonna be fucking all over this.
Trust me, I was thinking about it, but yeah. All right, have a look at this. Tyrell Fortune is not the last fight, but the fight before that was against a bloke named Tony Lopez, who has 65 wins and 32 losses.
Good record.
He is 52 years old.
That's a strong record.
Insanity.
And he won in 51 seconds on the well-known promotion RUF, rough heavyweight. Never heard of it. That's crazy work. That's absolute crazy work.
Nuts.
All right, let's get this one going. And look, I must say, I'm very impressed with the maturity we're both showing on this episode. I suppose when you have 53 episodes of getting fucked, I suppose you finally learn to pick up on a thing or two. So look at us go. Very impressive. All right, next fight on the card, we go to lightweight. Chase Hooper, the Dream, taking on Lance Gibson Jr., coming off one of the all-time dog shit performances Prices, we got Chase Hooper minus 300. The comeback on Lance Gibson Jr. plus 250. Ryan, do we see a market overcorrection after an initial dog shit debut from Gibson? Or does Hooper do Hooper things here and get bashed and win?
Yeah, I think this is a tricky fight. Like I coming into this fight, I just thought, all right, they just handed like Chase Hooper, this Lance Gibson guy who pretty much gave a shit performance against Bobby Green, but that was on short notice, and as we've seen, Bobby Green's tricky. Um, Lance Gibson, he's a sort of strong wrestler. Like he's been wrestling his whole life, but like I haven't watched enough on him to like for me to say that he is a really good wrestler. He does have a lot of physicality and athleticism. His striking is serviceable, like mostly southpaw, but he can switch stances. Like he has a fast body and leg kick, good hand speed, and carries stunning power. Like outside of that, when he does land those big shots, I find his striking ineffective overall. Like he's often a little hesitant, low volume, and he's very counterable. His opponent Chase Hooper, this guy is a grappling specialist as well. He's way more proven on the ground. Like he that's the best part of his game. Always has been the best part of his game. He's very once he gets a hold of guys, he's very active on top, trying to find that TKO or sub. He can put himself in compromising positions, which I'll get to. But as for the striking, like he does have high volume kickboxing offense. Like he thrives when he can overwhelm opponents and force them to cover up. Like he can get creative and crafty as well. But his defense is so poor. Like I think sharp boxers with power have made him pay in the past, as we saw in that last fight. But yeah, as for Chase Hooper putting himself in compromising positions due to his activity on top, he scrambles really well and he's very strong in transitions, but he's always giving his opponent chances to reverse and get on top of him. And though he's confident in his ability to get himself back in those dominant positions, I think this opens the door for a guy like Lance Gibson to find his way on top and just hold him down. Lance has shown to be strong on top, and I could honestly see a fight where they're just scrambling. Chase is trying to land ground and pound, and then Gibson just finds his way on into his guard and just eats away minutes on the clock. If like just in Chase's guard at least, and if he can get this done at least one of the two of the three rounds, then we could be in for a funny situation here. As for the striking, I think Lance is low volume enough and too easily backed up to where Chase can mount up numbers on the strike count. But he's also selective of when he's unloads, so Chase could be having good moments, overwhelming him, and Lance could just surprise him with a fast straight left through the middle that he doesn't see coming, which can stun him or even drop him. So yeah, like I'd say I can't say there's any value on Hooper at this price. Like, if anything, if Hooper brings the fight to Lance and Lance is able to capitalize on mistakes, there could be value on Lance. But is Lance really the guy I want to back? Not really. So, Chase Hooper is the pick, but no action for me.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Like, normally when you're back against Chase Hooper, you're pretty confident that the guy's going to have some power in his hands or a striking advantage to take advantage of. But I don't know if Lance Gibson Jr.'s got that at all. Like, he's got, limited power in his hands. He's just low volume overall. He looks uncomfortable on the feet. He's happy to back up. I think all these things sort of play in a Hooper's favor. Like, in terms of, if you want to beat Hooper, you've got to be a pretty good striker to take advantage of his weakness in striking defense. And I don't know if Lance Gibson Jr. will do that. I think Lance Gibson Jr. is a better pure wrestler than Chase Hooper. Like, Chase Hooper doesn't really have takedowns or things like that. So if this fight's going to have to get to the ground, it's going to be through the clinch, which could happen because Chase Hooper moves forward with, reckless abandon and puts himself in the fire. But I think I'm less interested in him getting a submission in this one. I think it could play out like a mostly striking fight with some wrestling exchanges and scrambles that come in. But if this is like a 15-minute striking fight, I'm not really running to play Chase Hooper. When you want to play Chase Hooper is when you know he's going to have the fight on the ground, on the mat where he wants it, or there's going to be scrambles or things like that. I don't know if I overly see it in this fight. So, yeah, it's a pretty ugly price tag for me to get to. Minus 300 on Chase. it's for a guy who can't strike and really has like one or two paths to victories, it's just not intriguing. But I think he probably should win. He's, the youth, the athleticism, the size, the reach, all that sort of stuff. And I don't think Lance Gibson Jr. is going to knock him out, is the main thing. So I think Chase Hooper probably wins, but minus 300 is, yeah, it's a bit icky on a guy like Chase Hooper for me.
Yeah, completely agree.
All right, next fight on the card, another lightweight one. I'm pretty interested in this one. Ignacio Bahamondes taking on Tafik Musayev. Prices where you have Ignacio Bahamondes minus 280, the comeback on Tafik Musayev plus 240. Look, straight up, I need to do a little bit more tape on this one, but I like the look of Tafik Musayev at plus money here, to be honest with you. For two main reasons. Ignacio Bahamondes is a guy that has long kind of struggled with like explosive, stocky strikers on the feet. He just can't seem to contain him. I think that's because he's got that, that long kickboxing style where he's happy to fight off the back foot or fight at range. And with a guy like Tafik who wants to get in close, throw massive overhands, looping shots, stuff like that, it does seem to struggle with him. Like Ludovic Klein is one that comes to memory pretty quickly. Rafael Fiziev, obviously, as well recently. And I think there was one more not McDessie as much, but McDessie's got that frame that kind of makes a bit of sense too. So, Bahamondes has been putting his wrestling shoes on the last couple of fights, which surprised me, taking the fight to the ground. So if he does that here, he's probably going to have some success. And I think he probably should look for that because if this is on the feet, I think this is I don't think Musayev is going to look like dead set, favorite, but I think it's going to be a close fight if this takes place on the feet for like any amount of time. So, yeah, the price of minus 280 for me is pretty wide, and I'm interested in the dog. I want to do a little bit more tape in the next couple of days before I finalise. But I'm looking at that going plus 280 or plus 240. I'm like, I don't know, feels like a decent price where the guy gets a better stylistic matchup compared to an oral buy who. There's a guy that's going to come out here, wrestle fuck you, take you down, slam you, and just work you. And whereas Bahamondes isn't that kind of guy, I think Musayev might have some ability to get this fight where he wants it. So yeah, I think it's a relatively close fight. I think it's closer than the line would indicate.
Yeah, definitely. Musayev, he had a terrible debut against Oralbai, but that was Oralbai, man. Like we see like what he can do now, like at the weight class that he's meant to be in. That's a completely different matchup. Prior to that, he was running through guys in Ryzen and a few other organizations, but he was also getting finished himself too every once in a while. But I feel like he's a wild card. Like he's got aggressive kickboxing, heavy hands, one-shot knockout power. His technique is wild. Like he's got loopy punches, wide hooks, and really puts his all into each strike. But that could be good for him here because Bahamondes isn't the most defensively responsible guy. Musayev is a bit too reckless for my liking sometimes. Like leaves himself wide open for counters in the pocket. Is Bahamondes the guy that's going to capitalize on that? I'm not completely sure. Musayev can mix in takedowns of his own, has strong ground and pound, but he prefers to keep it standing. His defensive grappling is quite poor, easily taken down by strong grapplers and controlled. But in this fight, like I think if Musayev bursts into flurries at the right time, he could land one on Bahamondes' chin and just put him out. And the difference between these two guys is that when they're striking, Bahamondes will be the more technical one with a better process. Like if this fight plays out the way it's meant to play out for Bahamondes, like for his style, like he'll just pick him apart from distance, land more volume, try to be a bit more classy with his strikes. Though he's still going to eat some shots coming his way, which like I think he's going to eat a fair few shots. At the price he's at, I can't parlay his money line because he is so hittable, and Musayev can definitely put this guy out. Am I confident enough in Musayev to play him as a dog? I'm not quite sure. Like that's something I might have to give more tape on, like you are. But I do like the look of Bahamondes double chance points or sub at plus 145. Tafik has only been knocked out once, and he's been subbed 4 times, including by triangle choke twice. Something we saw Bahamondes do in the past against, I believe, Jalen Turner.
Yeah.
maybe Bahamondes can get his takedown. Like you said, he's been putting his wrestling shoes on. But also, if Musayev is getting overwhelmed on the feet, maybe he might shoot his own takedown, take Bahamondes down. And Bahamondes has like pretty slick jiu-jitsu from his back and good scrambling ability. So I think he can definitely make something happen there. Otherwise, if this all goes to plan for Bahamondes, like he'll probably win a decision. But yeah, I might have to give it a look. I'd either play Musayev at plus money, like his money line, or Bahamondes double chance points or sub.
Yeah, I would agree with both of them. This kind of feels to me like a debut letdown spot and an overperformance, to be honest. Like, a lot of people would have watched that last fight against Orobai, like going, oh, I wonder who this guy is, haven't seen him a lot, blah, blah, blah. Gets dominated. They instantly write him off. They go, he's dog shit, he's fucking shit, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And now he gets a fight against, a primary striker and he looks decent. So I think he could overperform that price tag for sure.
Yeah, and I don't know why the Bahamondes knockout line is that high.
Me neither. I don't see him knocking him out, to be honest. I don't see it.
Like he's knocked out like what? Fucking forgot his name. The one that he spinning heel kicked.
Oh, yeah. Roosevelt Roberts.
Roosevelt Roberts. He's knocked out like
Christos Yargos.
But this guy also lost to like not Trey Waters, Trey Ogden in a striking fight, I think. If that's what I'm thinking. If I'm not getting him,
Makdessi.
Makdessi, yeah.
He lost to Makdessi in like a fucking gross. So like he's lost to like worse strikers with less physicality than Musayev. So yeah, it's an interesting one. I reckon I'll probably be on Musayev at dog money, but I haven't pulled the trigger yet. So see if we get there. Up the card, another men's lightweight. We've got T-Rex Terrence McKinney taking on Carl Nelson. Prices, we have T-Rex minus 170 and minus 180, somewhere there. Carl Nelson plus 145, plus 155, somewhere there. Ryan, T-Rex come out here and finish him in round one, or does he fall off a cliff and die after that?
Yeah, I think he finishes him in round one. Look, I'm someone who tends to take Carl Nelson as an underdog. He fights for your money. He's tough. He's measured. And in a 15-minute fight, I like his process, but I don't think this goes 15 minutes. Kyle Nelson is at a severe disadvantage in athleticism, speed, and explosiveness, and already he's quite hittable and starts fights slow. Like I do not see him being able to survive the round one blitz of McKinney here. Like Kyle's been finished 4 times from his 6 losses, including by strikes to Billy Q, who is a pretty slow twitched featherweight. Like I can see a straight up knockout, a referee stoppage, or even a club and sub for McKinney here. So the only reason why I've decided to pay the juice on McKinney at minus 145 is that in interviews he does this thing where he kind of teases that he could go 15 minutes with guys, and Carl Nelson is a guy where if McKinney somehow gets this to round 2 and he's sort of fading, I think he will still have that athleticism and speed advantage to like hurt him in round 2 and kind of edge that round. The worry be round 3 when Kyle is pouring it on and like McKinney's starting to like just putting his wrestling shoes on and stuff. So yeah, that's the only reason why I didn't pay his straight up round 1 prop and just decided to pay the juice at minus 145. He's since gone up to like minus 170. So I'm happy. I'll be happy with that straight bet. I think McKinney should roll through him here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where to go with this one. Honestly, I don't. Like, it's just typical T-Rex. It's typical T-Rex. He's not going to win a 15-minute decision. Can we be for real? Like, this guy, I don't think will win that in the UFC his entire career. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not interested in any T-Rex fights. I'm interested as a fan, like in terms of watching him, but I'm never interested in betting him. The only way I would be interested in betting this is T-Rex comes out, hurts him, doesn't finish him, goes to like minus 400 in the corner of round 1, and I get on Carl Nelson live. It's literally the only way I'd play this fight. I have no interest in the volatility in this world. We're being mature. It's 2026. We're not doing this anymore. We're growing. We're showing growth, and I have no interest betting this fight. But it'll probably be fun to watch. So I'm excited to watch it, but not bet it.
Love it.
All right, up the card, 2 men's middleweight. Again, this is another one that I am pretty intrigued by this one overall. Mansur Abdul-Malik taking on Yousri Belgaroui. Prices, we got Mansur Abdul-Malik minus 130. The comeback on Yousri Belgaroui plus 110. I mean, immediately coming into this fight, you see plus 110 on Yousri and you go, okay, this could be a pretty good play against a guy in Mansur who I think a lot of people have wanted to fade for a long time. That's how I came in feeling about this one. But honestly, I don't know if I'm going to get there on Yousri. I really don't. Like, I actually think I like Mansur in this fight, which I didn't expect. I honestly, I thought coming in, I'm going Yousri plus 110, easiest money ever. I've been waiting to fade Mansur. But I don't think this is the one. Honestly, I think Mansur could look good in this fight. I think we're yet to see the best of Mansur still. Like, he is absurdly athletic. He's going to have speed advantage. I think overall here, I think unlike Bikoev, he's going to be like, and I think this is a clear distinction, right? He's going to be far more comfortable when this fight is at range. Like, whereas Bikoev, he looked antsy to get the fight in close. He wanted to close distance. He wanted to get his hands on Belgaroui and work his wrestling. And whereas Mansur I think Mansur wants to do that or will be able to do that. I don't think he's going to be uncomfortable on the outside. Like, I think he can strike well enough. And he's shown that he's a decent enough striker that he can probably compete on the feet for the most part with Yousri. Like, Bikoev was also dead tired post 5 minutes. I'm not sure we see that from Mansur, fade as bad as that. So I think Mansur is an intelligent fighter. I think the issue with Mansur is that he bets on himself. 100% this guy bets on himself. You can tell when he wants to finish your fight. Look, it's a conspiracy, so you can say it what you want. You can say what you want about it. But I am in the firm believing camp that this guy bets on himself, which I like. Like, if you bet on yourself, good on you. If you bet against yourself, go fuck yourself. There's a clear distinction there. But honestly, I do think Mansur is an intelligent fighter. Like, he knows when he can strike, where he can get involved. He's a very good wrestler. He's very athletic. He's going to have, in my opinion, an athletic advantage here over Yousri. And while Yousri is going to be the bigger, longer guy, yes, he had a good performance against Bikoev. But like I said, I don't expect Mansur to fade and get out of there very, very quickly. And we've seen, like, Yousri doesn't have, I don't think he's like a huge power guy overall, to be honest with you. So I'm not like, unless Mansur fades really badly, I'm not that worried that he finishes Mansur here. And I think Mansur is going to be the advancing fighter for most of this fight. And I think if he wrestles, honestly, I think he should get the fight to the ground, as much as he wants. Yes, Yousri has some okay initial takedown defense, like, being pretty tall, he can negate that single leg and things like that. But I think Mansur can get this fight to the ground. I think we get to see the best from him. I think he's still improving. And I think this is honestly a letdown spot for Yousri bettors. After they see him against Bikoev wrestling, I think they go, oh yeah, Belgaroui plus 110. This is a spot. I don't think this is a spot. I think Mansur will win a decision here. And I think he's minus 130 is the smallest we've seen him in quite some time. And I'm kind of intrigued by it, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with you. Mansur Abdul-Malik, he definitely does bet on himself with Antonio Tricoli. Could have knocked him out, catch everyone's parlays. But no, let's go to the guillotine. Cody Brundage, let's take this guy 3 rounds. Nick Klein, let's wait till round 2 to get the...
Yeah, correct. Over 1.5.
Let's get that over 1.5 gone. So he definitely bets on himself. But I like you said, as long as you're betting on yourself to win, that's what matters.
Yeah.
Look, I've been like you. I've been waiting for my Abdul-Malik fade spot, and I personally did play Yousri. He had a good showing against Bikoev. I'm not going to take too much out of that. Like, he just outmatched him with his kickboxing and Bikoev could not get the fight to the ground due to Yousri's improved takedown defense and overall like physicality there. And I agree with you. Bikoev looked very uncomfortable on the feet, while Mansur, he is going to be a bit more uncomfortable there. But that could also be his undoing. Like, he's still pretty green. He eats jabs and stuff. He had a pretty competitive like fight against Cody Brundage. Abdul-Malik is much more of a physical specimen, but he is like very flawed still. He's improving with his striking. If they're at the kickboxing range, then I see him getting picked apart by that jab. One thing I like about Yousri's jab that you can see all throughout. Yousri striking through all his careers, that jab is just like a piston. and it very much keeps aggressive fighters at bay. He has nice kicks that keep them at bay as well. The leg kicks, body kicks, and his countering game, it isn't as effective as like your Adesanya's and Alex Pereira's, but he's still very good with his hooks in the pocket. Can Mansur have success striking? Definitely. Yousri does fight a bit too tentatively at times. Has that typical, and he also, what I don't like to see from him, he has that typical kickboxers defense where, like, if you enter the pocket, he's still like very upright and he has his chin just right there, just like very similar to Alex Pereira. Like Mansur, particularly early, could definitely catch Yousri off guard with something wild. But I feel like once Yousri settles in, gets his timing distance, like starts racking up points on Mansur, that it could start going snowballing for him like there, especially when he starts getting momentum and Mansur is like getting a bit more naive in there, trying to make moments happen. Like he could just like walk straight into jabs and straight punches. But I feel like Mansur would best hide his takedowns behind like big swings and really look to drive Yousri to the ground off a single leg. If this fight gets to the ground and Mansur is on top, it will be very ugly for Yousri Belgaroui here. Um, which is it's a good chance that'll happen, and the reason why Mansur is favored. So if Yousri can neutralize the grappling like he did with Bikoyev, I think he can outwork Abdul-Malik on the in the striking. But yeah, there is a good chance that Abdul-Malik will take him down and like absolutely like terrorize him on top. So yeah, I personally just did play like a small unit play on Yousri at plus money. It's just one of those things that like I sort of have to do. Just
Yeah.
as we're talking about maturing and growing up, I think this one, like, I just have to do it. Like,
No, I get it.
if it wins, amazing. If it loses, oh well. The fade on Abdul-Malik will come. But yeah, I'm picking Yousri here.
No, I get it. I get it. Plus 110 on Yousri. It's the best guy by far that Mansur's ever fought. So I get the angle there as well. UFC Garrison saying Mansur can secure takedowns with ease here. Yousri throws a ton of knees in close range, high risk, high reward for Yousri, but I ultimately think his tendency favors Mansur in the takedown.
I like that.
Yeah, I can see both of those angles as well. Let's keep this fight moving upwards. We have Julian Erosa. Julian Erosa taking on Lerryan Douglas. This one up at featherweight prices. We have Lerryan Douglas minus 350. The Julian Erosa comeback plus 280, somewhere there. Ryan, do we see Julian Erosa finished again and a contender series deliver a big old price tag? Or does Erosa somehow keep taking these goddamn knocks and not going down?
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird on every Julian Erosa fight. Like his last fight, he went the distance with Melky Costa, and like somehow after that, Melky Costa knocks out Dan Ige, who is like just as durable, way more durable of a guy than Julian Erosa. But yeah, he's a killer be killed fighter. He's either gonna finish you or get finished himself. I tend to think he's gonna get finished, but if he doesn't get knocked out cold, he typically will just be there like from round one up until round three, just in your face. Like he's got decent long range striking offense. Like he has a lot of volume and he's got pretty high level jiu-jitsu, like especially his guillotines and dashes. Like he's got a very tight squeeze on that guillotine if he give him the chance. But yeah, he's a finisher. Lerryan Douglas, finisher as well. He's on a 5-fight win streak. He's the LFA featherweight champion. He's a contender series contract winner with that really quick KO. He's got 5 round 1 finishes, 4 TKOs in round 2. I like that he has finishing ability in round 2 as well. He's well rounded. His kickboxing is aggressive, like slowly pressures forward, throws hard leg kicks from distance, and then blitzes in with heavy hooks. Like once in the pocket, he will look to land these heavy hooks and just like stomp his feet down and just really put everything into each punch. And if he lands cleanly, he will drop his opponent and hunt for the finish. As a grappler, he's all right. Like he has strong hips and gritty in the clinch, but he has been beaten by grapplers in the past. One of them being Chepe. Something about Lerryan Douglas is that he is a bit flat-footed at times and is a bit too willing to eat punches as he comes forward. But I think he should find the finish here. I have been wrong in the past in predicting Erosa fights because he's been such a wild card. If you connect on his chin while he's fresh, then he's going to go out most likely, and he's just always willing to test his toughness. If Lerryan Douglas connects, I think it's lights out. But if Erosa somehow eats his shots and is still there, he could very well like march Douglas down and pepper him with shots, get him uncomfortable, maybe force a takedown attempt. And if you give him the chance of attacking that guillotine or working his way to a DAS, if they're scrambling, he's going to take it. Does it get there? I doubt it, but I'll probably leave Lerryan Douglas moneyline out of my parlays because he is a newcomer fighting a veteran who can just randomly get it done at times. Instead, I'm just going to play 1.25 units on Lerryan Douglas to win round 1 or 2 at minus 125. But there might be value in Erosa in the distance or straight subline here, but I find that to be unlikely, seeing as the firepower coming from Lerryan Douglas and the chin of Erosa being dusted like quite a few times.
Where'd you get that line, round 1 or 2? What book was that on?
Round 1 or 2, I got that on Better.
All right, I'm getting all over that because I love that. I mean, like if you want to be on Erosa here, you have to be comfortable thinking he's going to walk through fire again and come out the other side and be better for it. And I just can't get there at this point in his career. It's just too much damage. Yes, I've been wrong on Erosa before. He can sometimes just turn up and be able to take shots. It doesn't make any sense to me. But he's going to have to walk through a fair amount of firepower from Lerryan Douglas here early. And I'm not sure he does. I think Lerryan Douglas's upside is all like round 1 and 2. Like I think he can fight round 3 fine and win a decision as well. But I think if he looks minus 350, it's probably a round 1 or 2 finish. So if I can get that for minus 125, I like that. I like that a lot. So that's how I would play this fight too. And I imagine that Lerryan Douglas probably should win this by finish, but who knows? Erosa is one weird motherfucker.
Yeah, he could just randomly win, hey?
I think this is going to be fun, though. I think it's going to be fun. I think they're going to exchange pretty heavy. I just think Douglas probably going to put him down. All right, up the card, we have men's welterweight, Michael Chiesa taking on Nico Price. This is Michael Chiesa's retirement fight. Was supposed to be... Who was it supposed to be again?
Was he ever
someone else?
Was he meant to fight on this card?
Was it Carlston Harris?
Oh, sounds about right.
I think it was. I think it was meant to be Carlston Harris versus Michael Chiesa. Harris out, Nico Price in on a week or a couple of weeks notice after getting knocked out. Like I think it was 50 days ago. I think I saw something like that. So 2 months ago gets knocked out, and now he's fighting again. Is he going to have to worry about getting knocked out by Michael Chiesa? Probably not. Probably not. The guy can't really throw a punch to save his life, but he is a good grappler, and Price seems to give up his neck when he gets taken down, and there is some scrambles. I think, look, if we're being honest, Chiesa's the much better pure grappler here. Like, if he wants to get the fight to the ground, he really should be. He should be doing that, and he probably should be finishing. The issue is he's old, and he's weathered, and it's his retirement fight. There's emotion. There's all sorts of stuff that goes into this one, but, he's got a literal corpse of Nico Price coming up. Like, if this was a couple of years ago, and Nico Price was still able to push through fire and face adversity and be better for it, I'd be much more comfortable, backing him here. But to be honest, I don't think he cares anymore. I think he's cashing a check. Athletically, he looks as bad as he ever looked. He's coming off damage, etc., etc. It's hard not to see Michael Chiesa just submitting him here, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you there. I think Michael Chiesa should be able to just take him down.
Also, he's minus 800. Sorry, I didn't say that. He's minus 800. Nico Price is plus 550.
Yeah, minus 800 for good reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's going to take him down. I think he's going to absolutely roll through him, probably grab the neck and get that choke. But he has no TKOs in his record, but he's been close to getting some ground and pound. So that plus 900 Michael Chiesa line is screaming at me. Like, I'd only play that for like maybe a quarter unit, but yeah, Nico Price, he was like knocked out like on his feet like maybe 3, 4, like it felt like 4 weeks ago. It was probably 2 months ago, but by a guy who's not even that good. So yeah, Nico Price is here for the paycheck to feed his 10 kids.
Yep.
So I think Chiesa should be able to roll through.
I agree. I agree. Probably the last time we see, obviously the last time we see Chiesa, but probably the last time we see Nico as well. So it'll be double send off here, double send off.
Yeah.
But yeah, poor Nico Price, poor Nico Price. All right, women's flyweight co-main event of the evening. Alexa Grasso taking on Maycee Barber. The price minus 185 on Maycee Barber. The comeback on Grasso plus 160. Ryan, how do you feel about this one?
I think it's always interesting in a rematch when the girl who won the first fight is an underdog, and that same girl that's an underdog now became a UFC champion by beating Shevchenko. But yeah, since Maycee lost to Grasso 5 years ago, she's gone 7-0. However, with a few asterisks on some wins, I can point out Miranda Maverick and the Andrea Lee fight. But yeah, Barber is 10-2 in the UFC, 7 fight win streak. She's got a fun style, like comes forward with heavy hands, swings for the fences, and got good finishing instincts. She does carry a lot of power and looks to back goes up against the fence to unload. She's got decent offensive grappling. Like once she's on top, she's strong and active with her ground and pound. She can, however, be taken down and controlled. And yeah, I think she lacks like fundamentals and skills at places, but she definitely makes up for it in work rate, cardio, and aggression. And I think her aggression and like the optics of her in fights is really what is very eye catching to the judges. Alexa Grasso, she's the former champ, 8-5-1 in the UFC, 2 fight losing streak. But if you look at that losing streak, they're against like really high level girls. She's primarily a boxer, like fights with a lot of forward pressure, looks to land some sharp combos as opponents back up and set up counter shots. Like she easily does her best work in the pocket. She is happy to eat shots though, which like does tend to like knock her head back. She also has jiu-jitsu in her back pocket, but as we've seen, like she does have poor takedown defense and a bit too willing to play jiu-jitsu off her back for long periods of times, which could cost her ear. She definitely does struggle against lengthy kickboxers with good footwork, but she doesn't have that in front of her here. Is there potential that her best days are behind her? I do think so. Um, Look, rewatching their first fight, I think Grasso just it was close. I think Grasso just landed the more effective shots and had the better optics against a young Barber who lacked composure, and the fight was still very was in thin margins. And with Barber even winning round three, like at that time they were both on an upwards trajectory, but it was clear Barber lacked the experience Grasso had, and Grasso was just the more put together fighter. Now, however, Grasso is definitely on a downward trajectory after climbing to the top of the mountain. Like her losses have only been to the best in the division, but like outside of that, she was still dominated 50-45 by Shevchenko and 30-27 to Natalia Silva in very uncompetitive fights. Like who knows what that could do to your morale and mentality. Barber, on the other hand, has been like asking for this fight for years. She's been showing improvements fight by fight too. Maybe not showing anything like new technically, but she is showing more composure, IQ, and controlled aggression that she lacked when they first fought. Despite this, I still think this will play out close, but maybe with this time, with Barber putting a stamp on rounds with her physicality, grittiness, and volume, and with her this time taking the 29-28 decision.
Yeah, nice breakdown. I flip flopped on this one a couple of times. Like, I yeah, I see it for both girls. Honestly, I think this is a pretty close fight again. If I'm honest, like, yeah, has Grasso regressed a little since their first fight? I would say probably has. Has Barber improved since their first fight? Probably has. Yeah, probably. So again, you got two girls who had a competitive first fight and Grasso's gone on to do better things, but might be seeing her aggression, whereas Barber's done less and maybe getting more improved now. I don't know. I just think this like screams close fight. Both girls are, boxer, wrestler type girls where they're not going to have pure submissions on the mat typically, but they're going to compete on the feet and they're going to try and mix in some wrestling and win top time and stuff like that. I think Barber's probably the more physical girl. I think that's fair to say. And I think Grasso, I think, is probably the more durable, like tougher fighter. The thing that gets me with Barber is she gets hurt a lot in fights in terms of like injuries and stuff like that. She seems to pick up weird, niggly injuries
Oh,
mid fight, which I don't like. And she does seem to like typically fight pretty close. So when I see her minus 185 against a girl like Grasso, who's, been there, done that, been at the highest division, it is kind of an intriguing price tag on Grasso. The issue is I tend to agree that her best days have probably passed her. But regardless, like plus 160 is, yeah, it's kind of intriguing. Look, if you put a gun to my head, I think I would probably pick Maycee Barber today. I just think, like, what we're getting today, I think it makes sense. But I don't know. This feels as close to a 50-50 fight as there is on this card, to be honest with you. Maybe Maycee Barber's slight favourite because of, athleticism and physicality, like, at this current point. But like I said, she gets injured in fights a lot. And Grasso's a fine boxer. She can wrestle too and stuff like that. So I think it's a pretty close fight. Maybe Barber will do more over the 3-round stretch and just edge it. But I don't know. Plus 160 feels like there might be a touch of value on that line here, if I'm honest.
Completely agree. Yeah.
All right, main event time. Joe Pyfer with some hair in this profile picture. Men's middleweight, 5 rounds. You know the deal. Izzy Adesanya taking on Joseph Pyfer. Price, we have Izzy minus 150. The comeback on Joe Pyfer plus 130. Ryan, can we be honest? Joe Pyfer finds God. That might be the worst. Congratulations to him. I love that for him. I'm really glad that has happened in his life. That's me being serious. But in terms of being an MMA fighter and finding God, I think that is one of the worst things that can happen to you. Do you agree?
Yeah, finding God or sobriety or
Yeah, just
I
changing
usually
shit.
I usually fade sobriety. As for finding God, I don't know, man. Like,
I mean, I could name 2 prominent examples right now for you. Vincente Luque and Rory McDonald. They were 2 of the most violent fighters
oh
we've ever
yeah,
seen, and they found God, and unfortunately things just took a turn.
yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm worried. I'm worried.
That
Honestly,
is
if Joe Pyfer came in here on his fucking like racist shit, just like talking shit, I'd be way more comfortable going, he's gonna knock the shit out of Adesanya. And early too. I'm not as confident. Honestly, I'm not. I'm really
yeah,
not. I think this is a fun fight. Like Pyfer is getting Adesanya at a good time. We've seen him slow. Adesanya is starting to slow down in his career. Has been for a couple of fights now. He's 36, which kind of feels crazy. Like we've seen him so long in the UFC, and he's now 36. I don't think he's going to be around when he's like 38, 39. And to be honest, I think Izzy. I don't think he'll retire even with a loss here. If I'm honest, I thought about it this week. I'm like, if Izzy gets knocked out here, will he retire? I tend to think not, eh? Like
no,
I think he's got that much of an ego. I think he'd be like, fuck this, I'm going back to Australia and New Zealand. I'm gonna have one more fight there. Honestly, I think that's what he'd do. He's got an ego, and I tend to think that's the way he would do it. So even if you lose this, I don't think this is probably the last time we see him.
no.
But in terms of how this fight plays out, I think Pyfer has huge upside early. Round 1 or 2. If he's going to win, it's going to be early, and I think that's pretty easy to say. But I think if it goes past that, I think he's going to slow down. I think his strike's going to have less output and power on him. I think Izzy will probably be able to take him then, and I think his output, Izzy's output, will probably take over there. He's clearly the more technical kickboxer, can fight from the outside as long as he can stuff some attempts early from Pyfer and negate some of that power in the first 10 minutes. I think he looks up. I think he looks the side as this fight goes late. So minus 150 is interesting. But Pyfer just changing so much coming into this one. I'm worried. I don't like it for him. And look, again, I haven't played anything on this fight yet. I think if you got Izzy like plus 125 or even any plus money, I think that's a pretty
That's
good
great.
bet. It's how I would play this fight. But like at minus 150, I can't. I'm not rushing to play that. I'm really not.
Yeah, I was looking at Adesanya's money line a few weeks ago, and I was kind of hoping it would stay that way. But like at minus 150, I'm not playing that at
Yeah.
all. This is a weird one to predict. Like we know the level Izzy is at when he's at his best, but even he'll admit that he's probably way past it now. The question is if this version of Izzy can get through this version of Joe Pyfer, and I think he can. Like the ideal fight here is Pyfer marching him down and looking for the perfect shot. Izzy would just chip away at Pyfer with leg kicks, beat him to the punch with fast straight shots, and be too elusive to be hit by one of Pyfer's winging punches. And eventually, once Izzy gets his reads, gets his timing, and Pyfer slows down, then we'll time the perfect counter hook and get the knockout, just sort of similar to the Paulo Costa fight, or just point fight his way to a 49-46 win. Like that is one of the likely outcomes. But I did watch some extensive like interviews and like both guys' YouTube channels going into this, and Pyfer in his interviews says he recognizes that he ain't winning a kickboxing match here, and he will need to mix it up. That mixed up with him and finding God, I think. I think this guy's putting his wrestling shoes on and be hell bent on getting the fight to the ground. Izzy is pretty hard to take down, and he knows that Pyfer is going to go for the takedowns, but Pyfer does have that physicality advantage. And being in that Marquez camp, I think they will come prepared to chain wrestle and wear down on Adesanya. The threat of Pyfer's strikes too all will put Izzy on the back foot, and he could be caught off guard either by like punches or a takedown at some point of the fight. I do think while Izzy does have upside late, I think he could still be worn down. If this fight goes past round two, I think Izzy will be clearly ahead and just beating him to the punch for most of the fight. But I do like Pyfer's chances early. I'm not going to play Pyfer like round one or round two at all, but I do like his Pyfer by submission line at plus 400. I think if there's a way for him to like win this fight, particularly early, it's by taking him down. I don't think I'm not. He could very much knock him out if he lands the right punch. But I think Izzy will keep on fighting, and I think there's a good chance that if Pyfer's on his back, I think he can lock up a rear naked choke or something.
Yeah, I mean, remember how easy he gave it up to DDP in that fight? Like, yeah, I think it's probably a good angle. If he gets his fight to the ground, sub is probably pretty high chance, just with the acumen that Pyfer has. Probably like an arm triangle or an RNC, one
Something
of those
like
two.
that, yeah, I can see an arm triangle absolutely.
UFC Garrison Pyfer so paralyzed by analysis that he's went out of his way to change his entire personality outside the cage. Izzy's in his head. I don't know if it's that, but I agree. It's not like a good thing. I definitely agree by that. I don't know if it's because of Izzy that he's become a fucking Christian, but it is what it is. The over is 3.5 with juice. We really believe Pyfer carries out a technical decision late stoppage. Doubt it. Yeah, I think I was looking at that before. I think under 4.5 maybe carries a bit of value. The issue is we've seen Izzy go to decision so many times that like backing him to finish is not, it is a little bit worrying for me.
Yeah.
But I think if it goes late, like he will have chances to finish Pyfer, and Pyfer can finish at any time and early, particularly. So yeah, under 4.5 is like minus 135. I think that's probably not a bad way to look to play this fight as well. Maybe. All right, let's go bottom to top. Final picks, and we will get out of here. Tainara, Brazil.
Tainara.
Yep, Tainara for me too. Simon Yanez.
Yanez for me.
I'm on Simon. Sterling Lopez.
Sterling.
Yep, Sterling for me too. Get that finish, you fucking mongrel. O'Neal Fernandez.
Fernandez
for me too. Tibura Fortune. Yeah, it's a fucking ugly one. I'll go Fortune. Chase Hooper Gibson Jr.
Chase Hooper.
Yeah, Hooper for me too. Bahamondes Tafik Musayev.
Bahamondes, but there's value in Musayev.
Yeah, I want to do a touch more tape on this one, but I'm looking at a dog shot on Musayev. Terrence McKinney Nelson.
T-Rex.
Yeah, I guess T-Rex early. Not a bet at all for me in that one. Abdul-Malik Belgaroui.
Belgaroui for me.
I like Mansur in this one. Erosa Douglas. Yeah, Douglas for me. Chiesa, the corpse of Nico Price.
Chiesa.
Yep, Chiesa should win against the corpse of Nico Price. Grasso Barber.
Barber.
I think Barber probably wins, but I tend to think there's a bit of value on Grasso, to be honest.
A lot of value. Former champ.
See if we get there. Plus 160 is intriguing. Adesanya and Pyfer.
I'm going to pick Adesanya, but I do have a bet on Joe Pyfer by sub.
I'll pick, Adesanya one last time. Last time I pick him, I reckon. But I'll pick him. And that is UFC Fight Night Seattle. UFC Fight Night Pyfer versus Adesanya. That is it, covered bottom to top. Ryan, you got anything before we get out of here, my friend?
No, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been another episode of the Wager Wise podcast, episode 53, I believe. That was a fun one. Good luck with your bets this weekend. Like, comment, subscribe, share it with your mates. Leave your bets below. Who are you backing? Who are you riding with? Who have we picked that's retarded? Who are you? Who do you think it's a great value bet? Let us know below as always. Next week we have what do we have?
It's a pretty low tier card. Chris Duncan versus Renato Moicano.
Yes, of course. I forgot that was the main event. That's an interesting one. I saw some crazy opening prices. I'm sure they're gone as of now, but yeah, we'll be back next week, same time for that. As always, thank you for tuning in. Good luck with your bets. We will see you next week.